Shalom everybody, it's Kalila Kelly, your Irish Jew. I'm going to watch a video that features a Palestinian Australian and a Jewish Australian talking about the recognition of Palestine as a state. And it's on Daily Motion on MSN. So let's have a look here.
Palestine is more than a word for Samir Akramawi.
Up until 1975, I had on my passport that I was born in Jerusalem, Palestine. After that, they denied me the right to claim that I was born in Palestine.
The Australian Army veteran was born in Jerusalem in 1945, before Israel existed. He's taken the Australian government to federal court to petition his right to identify his place of birth as Palestine.
Well, okay, sure, you could do that, but there is no place called Palestine around Jerusalem now. It's Israel. In the same way that I couldn't go to somewhere in South America and get a passport from a previous empire, like the Aztecs, for example. I couldn't get a passport saying, hey, I'm actually an Aztec and I identify with the kingdom of the Aztecs. Even though it's been superseded and it no longer exists, that's what I identify with. You can't do that. You can't retroactively recreate something that no longer exists. And the term Palestine was never a country anyway, or a state as we know it today. It was a name the Romans gave after they colonized and invaded the area. And so he can have a passport saying that he was born in Israel, but it's retroactive. There is no place called Palestine anymore, so the passport wouldn't mean anything. But I suppose this gentleman wants the whole world to stop and rewrite itself and refit itself around his personal grievance.
Our background is Palestinians, not unknown, not Israeli, not Lebanese.
What does he mean Palestinian? Because most Palestinians come from Jordan or Egypt. Most of the leaders come from other Arab nations. There is no collated identity known as Palestine or Palestinian. So even this kafir that he has here is an appropriation of indigenous people in Iraq, which ironically is where Jews originally hailed from according to our own history. It's all intermingled, but I'm not quite sure what the purpose of this is, but I think, and I suspect if it's from the ABC, that it's originally from the ABC, that it's something to do with gearing everyone up and getting everyone ready for a state of Palestine, or a state in Gaza, for example, which would be an absolute disaster, rewarding and giving terrorists land and recognition when they've just committed evil and started a war, and they still have hostages and they've still murdered babies and innocents. It's just complete insanity. But let's keep watching. I'll try and get through without too much commentary. Let's go.
Prime Minister promised to recognize Palestine was a relief.
This is a pretty good move from Australia, and I thank them for it.
What a load of shit, mate. You're a shithead. Your side of the conflict has been offered no less than 5 times a nice big swath of land to call your own. A nice big state to do what you will. At least 5 times, and every single time your side has said, nah, we don't want the land. Nah, we hate Jews, we want to keep fighting. No, we'll never accept it. So we'll just keep fighting eternally until we get rid of Jews. And in the meantime, we are going to get the worst people in to lead us, in Hamas, for example, or the corrupt PLA or PLO, and then we're going to get everybody on our side by manipulating them and by using our children as fodder in our PR Islamist machinery, and to hell and high water with what that does to us as a people. And then we're going to make out that we've been wandering in the wilderness and we've never been offered peace and we've never been offered a state. And it's just so unfair. And the Jews just keep taking everything and the Israelis keep controlling everything. And it's just like, oh my gosh, when are they going to stop? So it's a load of horseshit. This whole narrative, what he just said is absolute horseshit. What he's really saying is, I love the fact that my boys in Hamas broke out of their quote-unquote open-air prison. Hi, Egypt, how's your part of the border going? Why didn't you open it? But that's irrelevant. And he's basically saying, thank you, Hamas, for causing this ruckus, for starting October 7. Thank you for spilling Jewish blood. Thank you for creating this furor. And and then we'll get a Palestinian state. And it's like, you could have had a Palestinian state and your own land at least 5 times in the last 70 to 80 years. Like, why is this a huge new concept? It's not. The only thing that's stopping that, or that was until October 7, was the fact that we didn't have a viable partner for peace. You certainly could not give a state with all of the functions and dignitaries and dignity that a state entails. You couldn't give that to Hamas or to a terrorist group. They'll literally be getting in nukes the next minute. They'll have diplomatic ties. They'll have more funding than they've been getting on charity status. I mean, it's just insane. None of it makes any sense. It's completely bonkers and ignores the real history and the fact that the Jews and the Israelis have been offering peace over and over and over again. And they know that. See, this is the real thing. They know that the Jews and the Israelis want peace as well and are happy and were happy on multiple occasions to give up land. The first time the area was meant to be partitioned, the Jews happily accepted less than the other side. And they got the shitty desert parts, which were non-functional, basically, and they had to bring in agriculture to renew the area. And they were more than happy, after the Holocaust, to take whatever the hell they could get their hands on to survive. Am Yisrael Chai, life, right? And it was the Arabs who said, no. And they've been saying no for decades. They've created a freaking mess. They've created eternal refugees who are just refugees forever and ever and ever and ever. Even though technically many of them are going back to the countries of their actual forefathers, for example, Jordan or Egypt, as we said before. It's such a load of bullshit. It's such a house of cards sitting on a facade, which is why it's not working, because it's not based on truth. Whereas Israel is based on truth. It is based on a deep 3,000 or 4,000 year history in the area that is architecturally and historically and also biblically backed up. If you don't believe in the Bible, fine. You have to believe in science and archaeology because that backs it up too. The Jews have had states, they've had kings, they've had their own money, they've had religious sites, they've named religious festivals after the native indigenous plants of the area, for God's sake. The rhythms and the cycles of it are connected up too. Hang on. Okay, and so then Okay, so then...
fled Palestine after the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. She sees the recognition of Palestine hollow and tokenistic.
Palestine's always existed. We've always existed. Will always exist. Recognition for us is platitudes. It does practically nothing to feed Gazans who are starving.
Like many in the Palestinian camp, Lubna believes this recognition is too little too late, with not much left to recognize as Palestine. They want sanctions on Israel, an expulsion of the ambassador, and a global arms embargo. But for many in the Jewish community, the recognition of a Palestinian state alone is outrageous.
How our government or how our Prime Minister and our Foreign Minister think this is going to work, to have a territory governed by a terrorist group, dismays me.
Others in the Jewish community think the recognition doesn't go far enough.
Yeah. Excuse me, I'll just track back a little bit here because I think this part is really, really interesting. Let's just review this part here.
This recognition is too little too late, with not much left to recognize as Palestine.
No shit. That's because you kept saying no to all of the land and deals that were offered to you multiple times on multiple occasions at multiple points in history in the past. And you kept saying no, and you kept making a losing side proposition, and you kept rejecting opportunity and acting like a victim and acting like an incompetent child who doesn't get its way. But you keep playing for the high ball and you keep losing. In a gambling terms, you'd be like the guy who's betting it all and ends up with nothing. You're asking for a full house. I don't know the analogy, but you're asking for everything. And then when you don't get everything, you just throw everything away and then you end up with zero again. And here we are again. And it's again not really the fault of Israel or Palestinian innocence, but it is of the leadership for sure, who have kept rejecting peace on their people's behalf and instead choosing a path of war and jihad.
They want sanctions on Israel, an expulsion of the ambassador, and a global arms embargo.
Oh, is that all you want? See, again, babes, you just keep aiming too high. You just keep aiming ridiculously high. You keep trying to get Israel punked. You keep trying to punk us. You keep trying to get rid of us. And you keep losing. Because you keep aiming here, thinking you're LeBron James, when you're actually down here. You're like the sweaty fat guy next door who can't actually throw hoops. That's actually what you are benching and what you're pressing, Palestine, okay? You keep aiming here, but this is all you can deliver. This and violence and bloodshed. It's not a winning combination. That's why you keep losing.
But for many in the Jewish community, the recognition of a Palestinian state alone is outrageous.
How our government or how our Prime Minister and our Foreign Minister think this is going to work, to have a territory governed by a terrorist group, dismays me.
Others in the
Yeah, it's not the fact that Jews or Israelis, it's not that we don't want the other side to have peace. That's what we have been wanting non-stop. It's the fact that at this point in history, at this moment in time, at this moment in the war between Israel and Hamas, this is when, for example, the Australian government, the French government, the Canadian government, the UK government all suddenly decide to step up and go, let's recognise these guys. Let's give them even more power. Yeah, let's give these bastards, these Islamist psychopaths, even more power to commit bloodshed and to kill Jews, obviously, which is their goal number one. I mean, it's so backwards, it's so ignorant of the region, and the timing of it is so deeply immoral. I'm sure that we will look back on this time in history and just look at these leaders and liken them to the appeasers, to the Chamberlains of the past who just did not understand the nature of the threat, did not understand and would not accept the nature of evil. And that's something that took a lot of people a while to get used to with Hitler. They just couldn't really quite believe he was as nefarious as he was basically saying that he was. It's like there's something in us. There's a line from the Othello play, like, good people can't imagine evil because it's so foreign to us. We can't imagine that some diabolical leaders like Hitler or like the Hamas leadership, this is how they think. They are psychopathic and they are evil, and the intentions of them are evil too. So it's one of these stupid sheep-like responses from Australia, for example, from Albanese, the Prime Minister, to go along with this facade and to say, yeah, let's recognise Palestine. The timing is so atrocious, and it's unnecessarily appeasing terrorists, unnecessarily being mollycoddling and thoughtful and generous and let's all recognise a state right now. Well, how about we get rid of Hamas first, and then we'll talk about what the future looks like. Return the hostages first, and then we can have a conversation about the morality of life and this and that and bagels.
Jewish community think the recognition doesn't go far enough.
We need actual concrete action on the ground of what we're going to do to prevent Israel from committing genocide. And the idea that
Self-hating Jew, I'm starting to think here.
because my family suffered means I need to defend or represent Israel in any way is bonkers.
Mixed reactions from Australians, all desperate for an end to the bloodshed.
Yeah, that was from ABC. I knew it. I could just feel it. I could just feel the tone. Like the setup is... And notice how they leave the piece. They leave this segment on the words of a Jewish woman shaking and tutting her head at Israelis committing genocide. I mean, it's so sick. It's so sick, the messaging, the one-sidedness of it, the agenda that they have, the narrative they have, the drum they keep beating that Israel is this genocider. It's such a load of crap. It's all crap. Lies, 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 lies. And if you disagree with me, cool. Prove to me there's a genocide. Prove to me that the famine is due to Israel and not due to Hamas and other armed motherfuckers, excuse my French, robbing 89% of the aid, as the UN just said. Prove to me that it's the Israelis who haven't wanted peace historically. Prove to me that the Palestinians have ever said yes to land and to a peace deal. I hear crickets. Step up and show me the evidence of all of those things that you accuse Israel of, and then we can talk, and then I'll answer you and respond to you and acknowledge you and respect you. But until then, it's just more nonsense. So, bad timing, Australia. Bad timing. Shalom.